Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is news that you need to hear. I've got a compilation of stories here that I feel are very important for you to stay abreast of. So let's get started. The first thing I want to cover is I've heard from some people that they're afraid or scared that on the 1st of November, they're not going to be receiving like their Social Security or other items that are protected in the budget. And I wanted to go over with you really quick what our expenditures are broken down into the major categories as a nation and what items are protected, because there is a certain portion of our budget that is protected, meaning that these things are going to get paid out no matter what. And here they are. The first thing is Social Security, all right? The second thing is this is not technically protected, the interest on our debt. It's not like in a law that says this has to be paid, like Social Security is, right? It has to be paid no matter what. The interest on the debt is not. However, if the interest on the debt is not paid, then we default and then everything breaks down, right? So the interest on the debt, unfortunately, $1.1 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. So we are already in more than half of what we take in taxes in a year just on the first two line items, Social Security and the interest on the debt. The next thing is going to be your health, $912 billion, ladies and gentlemen. Then Medicare, $874 billion. Defense is not a protected item, believe it or not. That's discretionary spending. Same thing with welfare, which covers, what everyone's been talking about for the last 3 weeks or so. SNAP benefits, Section 8, etc. This is a protected item. Veterans benefits is protected. The others, education, and where it says others, probably black type money, meaning that no one really knows how it's spent, at least no one within the population of the citizenry, is also not protected. So we're looking at, let's do some quick math. That's 1.5 trillion plus 1.1 trillion, so that's 2.6 trillion. Let's make this 900 billion, so that's 3.5 trillion. Then Medicare, let's make that 900 billion, that's 4.4 trillion. And then veterans, let's make that 300 billion, 4.7 trillion, which is pretty much everything that the government takes in taxes. And now remember, we have a deficit thus far of roughly $1.75 trillion. Once the government shutdown ends, you're going to see our deficit skyrocket. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So I went ahead and I asked, what are the protected line items in our budget? And of course, Social Security and Medicare benefits and payments continue without interruption during the shutdown. All right. However, administrative functions may be reduced because some people may be furloughed, which can lead to delays in services like processing new claims, issuing Social Security cards, or handling other inquiries. So if you depend on your Social Security coming in every month, then you don't have to worry about it. Don't be stressing over it. You're going to get your payment like you normally do. All right. Medicaid, all right, is the other one we talked about. That's a protected item. Similar to Medicare, benefit payments from Medicaid continue because it is a mandatory spending program. All right. Other retirement benefits that include military and federal employee retirement benefits are also funded through mandatory spending and are not impacted by the shutdown. All right, let's see. And veterans benefits, payments for veterans compensation, pensions, education, and housing will not be affected. So put your mind at ease, all right? Stop worrying about this stuff and continue to prepare. Slow and steady does win the race. Imagine if all of the 42 million people in the United States of America, which is more than 10%, about 12, 13% of the population of the U.S. Imagine if the head of the households for the last 2 or 3 years, or even for the last year, would have purchased an extra can of this or an extra bag of that, pasta, rice, beans, and put it away in their pantry. They would have had nothing to worry about coming this Friday, the 1st of November. And unfortunately, when these events happen within the U.S. at least, that I've noticed, is that not too many people learn from them. I believe that in the last, I would say 5 to 8 years that people have been waking up more and more, because now there are a lot more people that consider themselves preppers in the US than there were like 10 years ago. So in a way, people are learning, but not enough and not fast enough. You remember when I told you that there will be a day when we are going to need some kind of biometric data in order to just log into the internet? And of course, I'm a quack, ladies and gentlemen, but take my word, that day will come. And Utah is trying to get one step closer to that day as I speak. Now, I understand that we're pretty much all tracked right now everywhere we go, pretty much anything we do, because almost everything that we do in life requires a transaction of one kind or another. Unless you're completely off grid and you don't have the internet and you don't have a phone, etc., more than likely you're being tracked in one way or another. Well, Utah is developing a state endorsed digital ID, right? State endorsed. Okay, SEDI system, building on its existing mobile driver's license program. So it seems that they did some kind of a pilot program where they put your license on a mobile device so that you can have more privacy. And it works great, because all you have to do, if you're going to go to, let's say, a bar or an adult establishment, all you have to do is pull up your ID on your phone, and it doesn't show your address, it doesn't show your birth date or your personal information except for your name, and it shows that you are old enough to enter that establishment. So that's all you have to show. So it's great. It always starts out great, ladies and gentlemen, but when you give power to an institution, that institution usually wants more of it. State officials, including Chief Privacy Officer, promise a voluntary, privacy-centric system where data is stored on a user's device, not the government's server. Just a second, Lulu wants to play. So it's stored on your private device, ladies and gentlemen, but do you think that your device is actually private? I would say not. However, the initiative is framed as a solution to online harms. Going back to where I started this story, that one day you will need your biometric data in order to access the internet. Let's read that again so you can understand where this is coming from. The initiative is framed as a solution to online harms, particularly for children. We have to protect the children by verifying identities to prevent fraud and predation. And they say that despite assurances, concerns persist that any government-run digital ID could evolve into a tool for surveillance and social control, and that is exactly what they're after. The foundation of Utah's digital identity push is the Mobile Driver's License, a program that has already enrolled more than 100,000 residents. This was the test run, allowing someone to prove their age at a bar with a quick phone scan without revealing their exact birth date or home address. It was a small step toward data minimization. Now, with the passage of Senate Bill 260, the state is embarking on a much grander vision. The SEDI system aims to be the key to a wide array of services, from assessing government benefits and banking to verifying identity for online interactions. You understand that? To verifying identity for online interactions. So not only will you eventually have to show your digital ID in order to receive whatever benefit it is that you're receiving, but just to get online, you're going to need to verify your identity via your digital biometrics. Now listen to these numbers, okay? These numbers are crazy. New Mexico finds toxic forever chemicals in 99.7% of residents. Nearly all residents tested near Cannon Air Force Base have PFAS in their blood. All right, ladies and gentlemen? But what they're not telling you is that those PFAS, they go into your brain as well, to include microplastics also. Groundwater contamination near the base exceeds the EPA safety limit by over 650,000%. It's pure poison. New Mexico is spending millions to connect affected residents to a safe public water supply. But how do you know that that public water supply is safe unless you yourself are testing it and taking the precautionary steps to ensure that it is clean? PFAS exposure is linked to serious health issues like cancer and suppressed immune functions. Now, I've talked about this so much over the years and even over the past just few days. Just, you know what? Let me show you something really quick. So as you can see here, I've got my little ppm tester and I'm filling up this cup in my sink with just regular tap water. And I know you can't smell it, but just standing above it, I can smell the chlorine, which leads me to think that instead of having an RO system in my home, that I also need a whole house filter in order to reduce the chlorine and other toxins that may be in the water that I use to take a shower with. Well, if you look at this tap water that's coming from the city utility, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking bad about the people that work at the utilities. They are working with one hand tied behind their back, and that one hand is called regulations. However, you need to take steps to protect yourself and your family. Don't allow the fate of the cleanliness of the water you consume to someone else. Take a look. This cup just got filled up with regular tap water, and look at how many ppms, parts per million, there are in the water. They will tell you that anything under 200 ppm is just fine to drink. That's why I say that people that work at utility companies, like water utilities, they're working with one hand tied behind their back. Because I can smell the chlorine, I can taste the nastiness in this water, and this ppm stick tells me, hey, you're in the red, you're over 150. Well, let's go ahead and do the same test with this ppm stick using the RO system that I installed. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this RO system has done its work. It's at 4 ppm. And the reason for that 4 ppm, in my opinion, is because this RO system by SIMPURE has a carbon filter at the spigot. It gives it that last little bit of freshness before it gets into your glass. So a carbon filter does add a tiny bit of ppm to your water, but it's not harmful. And definitely nowhere near as harmful as forever chemicals. So go watch this video here or here and enter to win one of these free Q3 RO systems, right? SIMPURE doesn't only have under the sink systems, they also have countertop systems that work just as well, but give you added portability, meaning that you can take it anywhere you want as long as you have a small power source. This is pretty impressive, but pretty scary at the same time, since we are living in the age of AI and super smart AI to come. Google's quantum breakthrough. Willow chip solves physics problems 13,000 times faster than supercomputers. This is not the world that we're headed to. This is the world that we are in. But one thing I can tell you is that all of this AI and computer generating power that they're creating now is not going to keep you fed. The only thing that's going to keep you fed, that's going to keep water for you that's potable, that's going to keep energy in your house when the power grid goes down, is prior planning. All right? You have to plan now and prepare now, because all of the things that I just mentioned, they're all basic, but they've happened in the past where people have gone without. It looks like it's just about to happen again on Friday when these SNAP benefits get cut off, and it will again happen in the future. So do you want to be a victim, or do you want to be prepared so you don't have to ask the government for help? Scientists warn against solar geoengineering. Dimming the sun could trigger climate chaos, famine, and global conflict. And isn't it ironic, ladies and gentlemen, that world governments are thinking about reducing the one thing that powers the renewable energies, such as solar panels, that they want us to convert into. So not only are they making us as a world go into these renewable energies like solar panels, but at the same time, they're trying to shut down that one thing that makes the solar panels make electricity. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy these types of videos where I go through the news that I've found the day prior like this, let me know. If you'd like me to continue to do this, I kind of enjoy doing this because it keeps me abreast as to what's going on and I get to share with all of you. Now, I have to remind you that OUPES is having a Halloween special and it's going to be like up to 55% off their solar generators, solar panels, etc. It's going to be a great sale. And they're also going to have a flash sale special, which is going to make their prices the lowest that they've ever been. So go ahead, click on the link that I'll leave on a pinned comment, which will allow you to enter to win OUPES's brand new solar generator that's coming out at the end of November. It's called the Guardian 6000. And from what I can see, not having tested it because I don't have one yet, is that it's an awesome machine. It provides those of you that have been asking for a solar generator with a 240 volt capability to run your wells, that exactly. All right, this Guardian 6000, it just has so many features. It's an awesome solar generator. I can't wait to get my hands on one. So OUPES, come on, what are you waiting for? Other than that, I want to say thank you very much to all of you for joining in. Check out the video that I put out yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate all of your support. I'm not being sponsored for anything that I talked about today, like SIMPURE or OUPES. I just talk about them because I think that it's important for you to at least do some research into getting prepared or staying prepared. I want to say God bless every one of you. Thank you so much for joining in today. I love you all. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.